Have you ever wondered what would happen if there was a war between the USA and Russia? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? The potential consequences of such a conflict are severe, with far-reaching implications for both countries and the world at large. Let's start with a humanitarian crisis. Any war between these two military giants would result in a significant loss of life, both military and civilian. Picture cities turned into war zones, families torn apart, and communities decimated. The impact on civilians could be particularly severe, with mass displacement and refugee crises. Imagine a world where shortage of food, water, and medical supplies become the harsh reality for millions, but it doesn't end there. Both the USA and Russia possess significant nuclear arsenals. The most alarming consequence of such a conflict would be the possibility of it escalating into a nuclear war. Any use of nuclear weapons would have catastrophic consequences, causing unimaginable destruction and loss of life. The global fallout from a nuclear conflict would be devastating, affecting not just the warring nations, but the entire planet. Now let's talk economics. A war between the USA and Russia would have a severe impact on the global economy. The uncertainty and disruption caused by such a conflict would likely lead to a collapse in stock markets, disruption of trade, and the potential for a global recession or depression. Think of a world where financial security is a myth, where economies crumble and livelihoods are in jeopardy. The immediate results of such a conflict are devastating, but the aftermath could be even more severe. The scars of war run deep, and the ripples of such a conflict would be felt for generations. The potential for a war between the USA and Russia is a sobering reminder of the importance of diplomacy, dialogue, and international cooperation in our increasingly interconnected world. But the impact of such a war would not stop at the borders of these two nations. The geopolitical fallout would be substantial, with the potential for the collapse of long-standing alliances and the emergence of new power dynamics. Countries around the globe would be forced to pick sides, creating a ripple effect that could lead to further conflicts in regions far removed from the initial war zone. Then there's the environmental catastrophe that could follow. Imagine a world where radiation contamination from the use of nuclear weapons lingers for decades, causing long-term damage not just to the warring nations, but to the entire planet. Our shared ecosystem would bear the brunt of this, with effects on wildlife, agriculture, and clean water supplies. And let's not forget the role of cyber warfare in today's digital age. Both the USA and Russia have sophisticated cyber warfare capabilities. A conflict could disrupt infrastructure, communication networks, and financial systems on a global scale. Imagine a world where our reliance on technology becomes our Achilles heel, where daily life grinds to a halt because our digital lifelines have been severed. The ripples of a USA-Russia conflict would reach far beyond these two nations, affecting the entire globe. This isn't just about two countries, but about the world we all share. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? The potential war between the USA and Russia is not just a two-country concern, but a global one. This is a statement that cannot be overstated. The impact of such a conflict would reverberate far beyond the borders of these two nations, disrupting trade systems, economies, and lives across our interconnected world. Imagine an intricate spider's web. A tremor at one point sends vibrations through the entire structure. Similarly, in our increasingly globalized world, a conflict between the USA and Russia would send shockwaves through our intricate web of global trade. The disruption could lead to shortages, price hikes, and a potential global recession. But the potential consequences extend even further. The spectre of nuclear warfare looms large. The use of such weapons would not only cause unimaginable destruction and loss of life, but also global fallout. The environmental impact of radiation contamination would affect the entire planet, leading to long-term environmental damage. These stark realities underscore the absolute necessity for diplomacy, dialogue, and international cooperation. We must focus on fostering understanding and peaceful resolution of disputes. The stakes are simply too high for anything less. As we contemplate this potential conflict, let's remember that the challenges we face are shared ones. Our fates are intertwined, and the consequences of war are borne not just by the warring nations, but by the entire world. A war between the USA and Russia would be catastrophic and must be avoided at all costs. We must remember The consequences of war are borne not just by the warring nations, but by the entire world.